Following Bishop Martin's recommendation, today we're going to be looking at the gospel passage set for this Sunday, Luke chapter 1, verses 26 to 38, a passage that we sometimes refer to as the Annunciation. We'll read that in a few minutes, but first of all, I want to spend a few moments on the passage that precedes this, because Luke is drawing a very sharp contrast between the two central figures in the story, Zechariah and Mary. Zechariah is an old man, a priest who has spent 2 weeks of every year of his adult life serving the Lord in the temple. And then comes the moment that he's been looking forward to for his whole life, the one chance that he will have to offer incense on the altar that stood between the great curtain that separated the Holy of Holies in the innermost part of the temple. Zechariah's name emerged in the third drawing of lots that day, and at short notice, he found that he was to offer the incense after the evening sacrifice. Thanks to the book of Exodus, we can recreate the scene perfectly. Zechariah stood in front of the altar of incense, with the table of the showbread to his left and the great 7-branch candlestick to his right. His task was to pray and to cast the incense onto the altar. As he was doing this, an angel appeared between the altar and the 7-branch candlestick. Zechariah was terrified, startled and gripped with fear, says the NIV. The angel announced that he and his wife Elizabeth would have a son in their old age, long after they'd given up any hope. And their son was to be the long-promised herald who would prepare the people for the coming of the Messiah. Zechariah asks, "How can I be sure of this? I am an old man, and my wife is well along in years." We might think this a perfectly reasonable response when confronted by an angel, the first angel to appear in over 400 years, and when given such extraordinary news. But the angel, who announces that his name is Gabriel, the man of God, does not allow us to sympathize with Zechariah. He tells Zechariah and us, have a look in verse 20, that the response was one of disbelief. You will be silent and unable to speak until the day this happens, because you did not believe my words, which will come true at their proper time. It struck me as never before when I was preparing this talk that Zechariah, with all his years of service and intimate knowledge of worship, at the holiest moment of his life, in the closest proximity that he would ever enjoy to the presence of God, missed the joy that God was bringing him and did not believe that God could do the impossible for him and his wife. Are we expecting God to speak to us as we worship today? And with or without an angel, are we prepared to hear? Let's listen to the lesson.